जाती तो मैं वहाँ जाकर उनको मिलकर book sign करवा सकती. Okay, which means you can go to the bookstore and get signings done by her. So we had one award winner just now, and we have another award winner back to back. Two prestigious award winners. Where else? What a wow! From the heartland, Mannina Magalu, to the outsider, Veer Das. In his latest book, yes, there will be a reading of Heartland at 12:15 in Left Barrack. Yeah. This book is a memoir for Misfits. Veer Das talks about being an outsider at various stages in his life in various places like India, Africa, the US, where I think the Americans are wishing that they were outsiders. Honestly, I don't know what he's talking about because in our home, he's an insider. My wife loves his work and would gladly invite Veer Das over for a meal, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, let's get the outsider inside our stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Veer Das. A memoir for Misfits, along with and Anna Vetticad.
Hi, what's up? Hey, I like an interactive crowd. What's up? Hello. Wonderful. Oh my God, what is that? All right. Cool. Okay, all right, cool. If that's a picture of Salman Khan underneath it, I'll be very happy. Bye. Anyway, no.
So hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, Veer doesn't need any introduction, so I'll introduce myself. About 25 years ago, when I was a very young journalist, I was working at India Today, and my editor said, you know, there's this interesting young man who's come back from the US, and he's doing something very interesting. It's called stand-up comedy. And I didn't know what stand-up comedy was. I had been for Hasya Kavi Sammelans, and I had been for Katha Prasangam, but I didn't know what stand-up comedy was. And I thought, okay, this boy called Veer Das, I'll call him and speak to him. And I called him. He lived in Noida, which you will find out from the book. And I was surprised because although he was funny, he was also shy. I was expecting someone to be, I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting a shy guy. Anyway, it's been 25 years, and like every journalist who has ever interviewed a young person before they became a famous person, I have followed Veer's career, feeling a great deal of pride in him. Not only because of his successes, I mean, he's hugely successful, I don't have to tell you that, but also because I have learned over the years that he's a very brave man. And that makes me feel so proud to be able to say that I knew Veer Das before you knew Veer Das.
Thank you. It's very kind. I think it's also, it speaks to the journey of the country as well. Like 25 years ago, nobody knew what stand-up comedy was, but we all knew what journalism was. And today, there are very few real journalists like you left over, so please give her a round of applause as well, and I appreciate it.
Now, of course, everybody knows what stand-up comedy is, and yes, the media is struggling to survive, but it's not to say that comedians are not struggling to survive. There's fame and there's money, but there's also FIRs and there's abuse, and Veer knows that more than most people know. And Veer, have you ever been like, you obviously been threatened with deportation and all kinds of things. You want to tell us about that part of the journey? Let's talk about now and then go back to...
We're diving right in. All right, cool. Okay, so I'll say two things about it, all right? One, I unapologetically take the freedom to talk about anything on stage, and so it would be disingenuous for me to not give that freedom to an audience member, right? So if you ever felt upset or offended, that is very much your right, all right? Making phone calls after you're offended is a different thing. What I've figured out the long and the hard way is, you know, people with power no problem. People with no power, no problem. People with no power who know power are people to be afraid of. Much like in a company, chairman, nice guy, intern, nice guy, VP of sales, right? Who has to impress above and oppress below. That's a scary person. So if you're a comedian in India, chances are you're not dealing with any real power, and anybody who doesn't have any real power has a sense of humor. You're dealing with a lot of VP of sales. And that's tough to manage, but I do think eventually the Constitution does protect you. The punishment is process. You know what I mean? It's not outcome. It is paperwork and visits and media headlines and all of that stuff. The process is quite painful, but eventually I believe we have a strong, rigid constitution that protects freedom of speech. So I always come back to that. That book is there, that text is there. I just have to deal with about this other mountain of paperwork before we get to that paperwork.
Have you even for a moment, because I know many people who I even considered friends a long time ago, who decided, let's be practical. And I've heard them tell me things like, listen, I have housing loans to repay, and I have children's fees to pay, and there are managers saying this. Have you for 1 second thought, why not just keep quiet?
And do what? Do jokes about going to the gym? And look, I'm really sorry. The thing is, stand-up relies on authenticity, right? I think you can, the perfect stand-up show meanders between, I think, shit I want to say and shit you want to hear, right? If it goes too much this way, it's indulgent, and if it goes too much that way, it's pandering, right? And so I have to strike that balance. I'm in my 40s. If you're apolitical in your 40s, what kind of life have you had? So when you're 20s and you're 30s, you can be like, hey man, girls talk too much and guys don't listen, and I go to the gym and all of that stuff. But, you're in your 40s, you're reading the news, you're worried about the environment or pollution, etc., etc. I also don't have the stakes of having children. My wife Shivani and I, we don't have children. And I want to be fair to anybody who has children. That definitely changes your stakes as well. I just don't know what else I would write about other than my country. Now, to be clear, nobody can predict what will get you into trouble. It is the thing you never thought of that goes viral, and everything you think is going to be a problem never goes viral. So if you started to pre-think about that stuff, you'd shut your entire career down. My best case is I say it, and jab lag jati hai, then you deal with it. You know what I mean? But I can't predict.
So, I was just telling a friend that I was coming here, and he said, oh, we've written a book, so it must be about the two Indias. And I said, in a sense, I suppose, but it is a memoir. What made you think of writing a memoir? Because you are in your 40s, and you explain at some point in the book that you're not one of these old people who is able to dole out wisdom to the world. But you're also not too young that you've not seen the world. So why did you think of writing a memoir?
Cash. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Cash was only 90% of the decision. So, okay, what happens is comedians usually write a book far younger than most people write a book. Like, by my age, Kevin Hart has written 2 books. Amy Schumer has written 2 books. George Carlin had written 3 books. So it's not uncommon for a comedian to write a book about their life young. What happens with an American career graph is I won an Emmy award, and then at the end of that, the agents are like, you won the Emmy, now write the book, right? And I said exactly what I said to you. I don't feel like I've done enough stuff. I'll write a book if you let me write a book about confusion and failure. For some reason, I have seen more of the world, and I've been let into more worlds than anybody I've ever met. I've gate-crashed Bollywood. I've gate-crashed rock music. I've gate-crashed Hollywood. I've gate-crashed their stand-up comedy scene. I've been an Indian in Africa, an African in Indian boarding school, a boarding school kid in Delhi public school. a DPS kid in Galesburg, Illinois, an Indian accent in American drama school, a westernized accent in Indian movies. I've never fully belonged, you know, and so I think that's the broader feeling is you're sitting at a party going, how the fuck did I get invited to this party? And am I wearing the right thing? And should I talk to them? And should I not? And do I belong here? How soon before they kick me out? I feel like most people feel that way more than people who are successful. And people are like, I killed it, man. You know, so that's what the book is about. It's about being an outsider. You know, it's about the feeling of, okay, I moved to Bombay in a whim. All right. There used to be a show called the Times Food Awards. And somebody asked me to MC it. And I'd never seen a Bollywood star before. Right? And I believe if you're young, you know, if you're perceptive, there are moments when the universe will let you know you need to be undeniable. You'll feel it. And that your life will change. So something in me felt that if I'm undeniable as an MC, something will happen. So the first started going, well, first Bollywood star I ever met was Jackie Shroff, which is a great introduction. He said, talk to me for 5 minutes. I have zero clue what he said to me the entire time. Because A, I was meeting Jackie Shroff, and B, he doesn't part his teeth much when he talks. So he's like, hey, Bill, come on, there's a stage, and I was just like, my God, OG legend, right? And then I remember at this thing, Aishwarya Rai came up. Right now, see, I believe that there is upper biology in the world. Right? Angelina Jolie, Aishwarya Rai, Brad, you know, there is this level that we are not at that level. I'm not, and looking at this audience, you're not either. Let's be honest. Most of you are same level, all right? But then someone from upper biology fist bumps you and says, you're really funny.
Aishwarya fist bump.
Aishwarya fist bump me. Now at this point, fuck the audience. The show is for Aishwarya Rai, right? But that's the core feeling of the book. Is, my God, Aishwarya Rai fist bumped me. And I'm on the same stage as her. And what the hell am I going to do? I'm so scared. There are butterflies in my stomach. I'm also freshly in love. So I think that's the core of the book. It's a looking for belonging, and then over the course of time, figuring out that maybe feeling lost is where you belong, and don't judge yourself too harshly for that.
Okay, at some point, a mic will be handed around. I was, in fact, interested in very briefly reading a passage from the book, and all of you must get a copy of it, The Outsider, a memoir for Misfits by Veer Das, because it's a good guide to life in a sense, although my life has been nothing like yours. But this paragraph is something that resonated with me. Welcome to the boarding school where for the past 100 years, young, impressionable Indian children have been thoughtfully molded into raging adult assholes. Perhaps some kids do thrive in this environment, and by thrive, I mean develop military-level discipline, graduate top honors, and make millions as deeply repressed surgeons, engineers, or politicians. As a child who enjoyed scaring the hell out of my mother by walking along balconies and railings 4 stories high, I probably would have benefited from acquiring some sense of discipline. I'm not condemning all boarding schools. They produce many great leaders and successful people who win awards, run countries, and harbor serious anger issues, having internalized the idea that a B+ will equal sudden death. In essence, my theory is that boarding schools produce 2 types of people: happy conformists and miserable misfits. Now, you are not a conformist.
No, but you all know a conformist, right? Do you guys know that gentleman who's 59 years old and still talking about shit he did in boarding school? Chick chicks, hockeys, you know that guy, right? And so I find that boarding school, if you fit in really well, there is a generic scenarian, Doon School, Mayo guy. And I know that guy because that's the guy who beats the shit out of a guy like me. Yeah, I feel that.
But at this point in time, you are neither a happy conformist nor a miserable misfit. And I was just wondering if it would be correct to describe you as a happy misfit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have a tremendous job. You know, I get to see the world. I've seen the world 3 times. Nobody else gets to say that. You know, I've been to Stavanger in Norway, and I've been to the Sydney Opera House, right? And it's an equal level of discomfort at both of them. But I really feel like it's a more valuable way to go through life. Have you ever watched a movie and sometimes you'll see that a foreign photographer captured Mumbai in a way that we took for granted? You know, suddenly colors popped and things that we walk by every single day, they just somehow were able to capture in a movie or in a photograph. I feel like that's the outsider way of life, is if you're not looking at the world like that, and you're kind of at attention really looking around, maybe you'll see some more shit, and it's worth the discomfort.
Okay, what do you like when you're in an audience listening to a comedian?
I hate watching comedians. You work at McDonald's, you don't want to eat burgers, you know, because I can always see the joke coming because we all understand the craft. Comedians love it when another comedian bombs. And I'll explain to you, like sometimes, you know, we all pop into a club, right? Every now and then we'll pop into the Habitat in Mumbai when it's not being broken down. And, you know, I think there's underground comedy club in Bengaluru, etc., right? So if a comedian pops in, an older comedian to do material, he's come to bomb because he's running new stuff. And what's lovely about my profession is it's so democratic. On any given night, it doesn't matter how famous you are. It doesn't matter how many awards you have. The young comic with 5 minutes of good shit has a better chance than you do. And sometimes when you're struggling, like, I'll hear in the back, I'll hear like, and it's like Kamra or somebody like that, you know, like, because we know that the joke isn't good yet. And that if we don't get arrested, it will be someday. So I like watching comedians struggle with the joke because I know, oh, there's a kernel of something really good here.
Okay. You wanted to read a passage from the book, which is, well, I asked Veer if he would read, and he has agreed.
Would that be okay? Yeah? All right, cool. Okay. I think, okay, so the backstory to this, if you haven't read the book, is I was engaged, and I had a fiance, and she went abroad to do her MBA while we planned our wedding, and I got cheated on 4 months before she was to come back. All right, and my friends introduced me to this girl in Mumbai who's also freshly heartbroken, and they were like, just bang, please. And so she'd come over and we'd smoke joints together and hook up and eat Bavarian chocolate ice cream from Baskin-Robbins because we were very high. And talk about our exes. And every passing week we talked less and less and less about our exes. And just as soon as we stopped talking about our exes, my fiance came back. And I decided to take her back. She lived in Delhi, and so I went to say goodbye to the girl with the joints. And this is that. All right. 1 second. If you think this is a Hallmark movie ending right there, the one where I show up at her door and we fall into each other's arms and declare our love, think again. Yes, we hooked up. We continued to have fun and hang out. But while this dance of denial was happening, Swara, who's my fiance, reached out to me from Rotterdam saying she was sorry, that she wanted to work things out. We'd canceled the wedding. Why not work it out? Seemed like a good choice. So like an idiot, I bought a ticket to Delhi where Swara was now living and told Shivani about it. Instead of freaking out, Shivani responded, cool. Good luck with it. I told you we were committed to our vows of pretending to not have deep feelings for each other. Good luck with it. I just want you to be happy. I'd never had someone care for me enough to let me go in order to put my happiness above their own. You could tell she was heartbroken, but she's the strongest person I've ever met, so she didn't show it. When we said goodbye, she kissed me, hugged me, and told me I deserved the world. And then she handed me a book she'd contributed a chapter to, and that chapter was all about what she perceived love to be, how it felt to her, what it meant. She said it was a parting gift and that I should wait until I was on the plane to read it. It was a book about the idea of love, with 7 female authors talking about their damage, their trauma, their desires, and the kind of love they wished for. She said, if you're going to get back with her, I think these stories are the kind of love you deserve. Make sure she gives it to you. I boarded the airplane with her book tucked under my arm. The flight took off into the sky, heading towards Delhi. I started to read how this woman described love. This woman, who I had spent 4 months dancing, laughing, talking, smoking, and growing with. This woman, who wasn't perfect, but who wasn't hiding her scars. This woman, who knew what it was to be passionate about art. This woman, who does it all by herself and tells herself she needs no one, needs me. This woman who owns the room. She described love and hurt better than I've ever seen it described. I sat there on the plane, headed to Swara, and it was like I understood what love was supposed to be for the first time. I was in love with this woman, the one I'd sworn I had no real feelings for, the casual hookup, the woman who'd said good luck with it. When I told her I was leaving to get back together with my ex-fiancé. Fuck. The plane landed in Delhi. Keep in mind, this was not a quick 45-minute flight. This was 2.5 hours on an airplane, 2 hours drive to her house, enough hours for me to agonize over what I was doing and feel terrified about where I was headed, knowing that my home wasn't settling with Swara. It was a crazy adventure with Shivani. I told Swara what happened. I told her I was in love with somebody else. I got on the first flight back to Mumbai. And when I saw Shivani, all those attempts to tamp down my emotions were obliterated. It was intense. It was terrifying. It felt like home. I told her I'd read what she'd written in the book. I told her I loved her. I told her it's you and me. She burst out crying. She'd said goodbye to me 10 hours ago. It was 3 a.m. I was on her balcony and I wasn't going anywhere. There were purple fairy lights that she'd put up twinkling, and we lay down on cushions on the balcony and held each other. Some music trickled in from the bedroom. Mumbai was silent, and so were we. Chalo, 2 people are crying. That's nice. That's a good sign. Yeah.
So has Shivani read the book? And what does she
Shivani's
say?
read the book, yeah. I mean, I have like husband points for 10 years after that shit, you know. But it's not, yeah, it sounds like a rom-com, but it's a completely true story. And what I always tell people is, the line I read in the book was, she wrote, I want the kind of love that helps you fall asleep. I read that again and again, right? I want the kind of love that helps you fall asleep. Then we moved in together when we were 29, and she got sleep apnea when we were 31. And I haven't slept in 20 years, basically. But good sign, right? But I deeply love her. Yeah.
So yes, please raise your hand if you have a question.
And we get a
by
mic
the time
to
the
you.
mic gets to you, I have a question for you, Deep.
I already have a
Oh,
mic.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hi, what's up?
I'm Adiha Suzuki. So I have a question. Most of the people write memoirs when either they go through a lot of shit, like I think you did. Are you dying by any chance?
I'm not dying, not yet. Much to the disappointment of a few organizations and a few official bodies, very much alive, still writing jokes, more jokes to come.
And why did you choose the memoir as your first book and not something else? It
I-
looks like the last destination thing.
I don't have any other stories to tell that I don't want to make into movies or into, into comedy routines. So I just felt like, and sometimes you feel like everybody's come and seen you for all of these years, but we haven't really gotten to know each other. And it's a nice way to just share yourself with your audience. So yeah.
Thank
Where's
you.
the mic right now?
I have it
so
at the
wait.
moment. Can I ask? Here.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
I'm so happy I'm not visible. For the first time, I'm happy that I'm not visible. Okay. And you had to look for me. I work with lots of youngsters, and I want your take in the part of humor. why do they take life so seriously? Like, be it body shaming or be it something that their esteem go low. I want you to add little humor to it so that they understand life can go on just like that. So if you can just address that part of it, that it's okay, whatever they're feeling, but life, they can move on. They don't have to get stuck with it. So your feel on that.
Ma'am, I want to push back on that. I think this younger generation has far more of a sense of humor than our generation does.
No,
You
they
know,
aren't. There are very few of them like that, actually.
I, I, I think sometimes because we come from a space of not having open conversations, we perceive an open conversation as a lack of a sense of humor. I think this generation talks more about body issues, mental health problems, anxiety, etc. Things that we just kind of like, "Arey, put it under the table, etc." They're open about it, and they have a darker, drier sense of humor. So when I see like a Gen Z kid, like, man, my anxiety is out of control today, but I'm eating this, and that's the real. That is essentially a sense of humor combined with openness that my generation doesn't really have. So I'm a big fan of how open they are. Now, will they get stuck in it or not? I think a lot of that is angst, a lot of that is edge. Like I always tell younger comics, 21-year-old male comics who are just like, "Meh," the bro didn't hesitate humor, right? I'm like, the minute a girl kisses you, all of that will fly out of you one day, right? So I think life experience will kind of, weld them into that. But I do think they're far funnier than we are and far more open
So
than we
you
are.
expect many Veerdas again.
I expect many more. I hope so. Yeah.
There is a point at which you describe a producer in the book. You describe a producer saying something very brutal about your looks.
One producer?
How do you deal with that? Because I'm with you on this. I think body shaming not okay. Living with it and wallowing in it, I don't know how. I don't want to comment on that. But body shaming is just not okay. And somebody saying it to your face and they'll say, "Oh, it's frankness, and you need to know because it's professional."
So the context is my first film was called Mumbai Salsa, which 5 people saw, 4 of them from my family.
I was the 5th one.
Yeah, right. And then after that, you're trying to get work as an actor, and 2 producers called me in and they were like, this boy, they're talking to each other, not very good looking. He's also not very tall. So we'll have to put many good looking dancers behind him so that he pops. And you're like, fine, man, just give me the role and the cash. I don't know. I have the luxury of hopefully my connection with people has nothing to do with how I look. I feel very sad for like guys who get launched as chocolate boys. Because there's that period between chocolate boy and zaddy where they have to go away for a little bit, right? And then they come back as the zaddy, right? And then they're sexy again. But if that's all you have is your connection with an audience, it's tough. Right now, touch wood, I can wear a t-shirt and I can wear dirty pants and people were like, this guy's words. I don't need to, all those trappings I don't need to conform to anymore. It's kind of nice.
Okay. Actually, a very serious question. I'm not joking about this. Does the money and fame make it better? Does the money and fame make the hurt a little less hurt?
I think the money and fame is very dangerous for comedy. Because then what are you going to write about? Sometimes you've all seen a comedian be like, I was on my jet the other day. Go to hell. So as a comedian specifically, you have to be very careful about not surrounding yourself with too many people, about really interacting with people, about really saying yes to life. Yeah, let's go bungee jumping. Yeah, let's try this new restaurant. Yeah, let's do everything so that I get real material. Because otherwise, comedians tend to get lost in a bubble. 3 years, if you get success and fame, please lose yourself. Please become an asshole. All right? Please wear sunglasses in airports and have 2 cell phones and have somebody waiting there with baba ka juice and all of that stuff. But eventually, just find your way back to authentic art. Ma'am.
Your question.
Yeah, I'm Swarna, and the question I have is a lot of Indians like me loved your 2 Indias.
Yes.
Okay, and you say that don't speak up if you have kids and you don't have, is what you just said.
I know. I said,
That-
if you don't
if-
speak up because you don't have kids, I don't judge you for it.
Okay, okay. So my thing was, how was the backlash? I mean, like after the two
Oh,
Indias.
it's fun.
And what do you suggest to people like me who have, maybe I have a 5-year-old, so a lot of times even in a society or just out there, you don't know who's recording and you can be. So how do we come out of this fear thing? And can you just explain about the backlash and how you got over what happened?
Um, I very quickly discovered what it was to be a comedian. In that, this is a little inside baseball, but from the controversy to the Netflix special called Landing, I didn't do one press interview. I didn't go on one podcast. I didn't do anything, and that's a 11-month period of time that just went away, right? Now, keep in mind that when the controversy happened, I was nominated for an Emmy, and every single news outlet in the world was calling for an interview. Now, when an American celebrity gets into trouble, or when a big celebrity in India gets into trouble, there's a roadmap. No, you say you go and cry on Oprah, and then you do one big podcast, and then you say you were on antibiotics, right? And I didn't do any of that. I was just like, the first time I talk about this, it'll be funny, it'll be a joke, it'll make both sides laugh, and you will pay to see it. You know, so, but with your 5-year-old, ma'am, that's your own set of circumstances. The only thing I will tell people is, your children listen to everything you say, but please make no mistake, they also listen to your silences. You know, so
And also, maybe can we place on the record that there are plenty of people with children who are fighting very hard to make the world a better place
hell yeah,
for us.
absolutely.
I don't have children. You fist bump because you thought I have.
All right, cool. Oh, sorry.
So yes, question.
Hi, my name is Rajvi. My question is there any reality behind what happens with Hasmukh in your life? And if not, then what
Hey,
is
listen,
your
5 people
quirk?
have seen us smoke. So I played a serial killer comedian in a Netflix special. No, it's
No?
just a darker niche character.
But do you have a quirk that helps you get on the stage and kill, maybe?
I have 2 pre-stage rituals. My favorite moment is not so when the lights go down and the intro music begins and all of that stuff. I'm usually not backstage. I'm usually pretty far away. I like it when the lights go down, and if you've ever felt 10,000 people, when the lights go down, they go like this. They put the phone away, they sit down, they get comfortable, they talk to each other, you're good, etc. If you hear 10,000 people shuffle, that's an acute amount of pressure, you know. And in that moment, you're reminded, oh, they Ubered, they got babysitters, some of them bought the only ticket they could afford, some of them bought the ticket they couldn't afford, some of them are college kids who could have gone to Coldplay or Diljit or AP Dhillon or somebody. They made a choice. And so I love that. It reminds me that the audience belongs on a pedestal, and this is about sending them home flying on a cloud. The ladies and gentlemen, Vedas, that's not it. My favorite moment of a show is that. It's that shuffle when the lights go down before the intro music begins. So whatever I do, I try and make sure I'm there for that shuffle.
Thank you so much.
You know, there's a lot of high drama happening in your life, not in terms of, I mean, right now you've just got this book out and you have a film.
I have a film.
And I want to know about the film because before you go to see the film, please go and watch that trailer with Amir Khan.
Has anybody seen it? Did you see the trailer? All right, cool. If there's a camera on, Amir sir, they saw the trailer. All right, cool. So you would have seen the trailer where Amir Khan beats the ever-loving shit out of me, and the film is called Happy Patel Khatarnak Jasoos. It is a mad spy comedy. I got to co-direct it. I play Happy Patel. Many Khans that you like are in this movie, as you can see. And I think we've seen many dark spy movies, and maybe there can be a spy movie for happy people as well, you know, where we just get silly and have some fun. I have not been in a Hindi movie in 10 years, you know. So I have no clue whether this comedy audience that I have is even large enough to justify a film or not justify putting a film with me starring in it. But man, I hope you show up because I put my heart and soul into it. So please do show up, all right?
Yeah,
Hello.
question.
So my name is Satvi.
Say something in Hindi. Madam, you keep making demands, man. Add humor. Say something in Hindi. I'll say something. मेरा टिकट लेके आइए. फिर मैं बोलेगा सबके लिए.
Yeah.
Alright.
So my question was, in the excerpt from the
What's your
book,
name, madam? Before
Satvi.
Thank you.
Yes. So in the excerpt from the book, you described your wife's idea of love. So I'd want to know your idea of love because on a set a few years ago you said that hate is said but love is felt.
Yeah.
So I want to know what is the love that you feel.
My idea of love is if it puts out of focus uh, all the big things in your life. So, if you look at somebody in a frame, there's out of focus in the background, and you can see little things like one light and this and that out of focus, etc. And then something massive is here in focus. I think love creates a focus shift. And if it can just create focus on tiny things, Arey, Kaju ki barfi, this movie, we are out of face wash, but just if it can get rid of focus on all of the big things in your life and make it about very little things, I think that's love, if it's doing that. So, yeah.
Hi, V.
Hi.
I'm here.
Hi.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Hi. I'm Anushka. You have lived a very courageous life, and I wanted to know if you believe in the theme which goes like, you only need to find the courage for like 20 or 30 seconds at the important moments, or if you have to be brave all the time.
I don't think I'm brave. I'm always scared, and what you said is absolutely correct. Is 90% of it is pretending you are brave when you are actually not. Not judging the fact that fear is in the room, right? It's like you're on a plane and there's turbulence, and I'm scared of turbulence, and 99% of the plane is scared of turbulence because we're afraid we're going to fall out of the sky. But if some way you can find a way to put the window up and look out at the clouds and just say, I'm scared and that's okay, but I'm still going to look out at the window at this fucking cloud. If you can just manage that one look, you're absolutely fine. So if you're not brave and I'm not, just pretend for 20 seconds, like you said, and that in itself is bravery. And don't judge yourself for fear. It's the healthiest thing in the world, is all I'd say.
Thank
But
you.
Veer, bravery isn't not being afraid, right? Bravery is doing what you have to do despite being afraid.
Yeah, but even if you do it because of duty, even if you do it because of no choices, even if you do it because you're being forced, whatever, just if you can manage to do it and come away with some modicum of kindness and still yourself, that's okay. Bravery is a very thrown around term, and don't throw it around for yourself. Let other people say it.
It's probably something someone else should. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you know.
Like me at a literature festival saying, I'm proud of you because you're brave. There's a question.
Yes,
Hi,
ma'am.
good morning. Absolute fan of what you do.
Thank you, ma'am.
With historical comedy also. Like Banu Mustaq was just saying, like literature or comedy exposes and illuminates. So a lot of what you do is that way. But I also, when I see your shows, I hear a lot of history,
Yeah.
which makes me want to ask you how much of reading and how much of referencing do you go through? Because right now, what you'd see, this is the information and knowledge goes.
Yeah.
So what are your knowledge and information sources? Like, or what are your historical readers that you read that form your source of comedy?
Well, I grew up with a great man. I was raised in a house with my grandfather. I can very quickly tell you about him. Would that be all right? So my grandfather was an IPS officer. He then was an IAS officer. He was Inspector General Meerut, I think. He was India's first ambassador to Bhutan in the IFS. Then became chairman of Air India, chairman Airports Authority, and retired with the Padma Shri. All right. And I tell dick jokes, right? So, two Indias. But, I grew up with a man who very much encouraged me to know about the world, almost obsessively so, because he did. So every news website I can get my hands on every morning I'm on, with the exception of two news websites. I think we all know what they are. I consume social media quite a bit at the detriment of my own health. And, lots of podcasts as well. So I just need to know what's happening in the world obsessively.
You know, when I
Authors
went to
in
watch
specific,
Delhi
like
Belly,
Indian authors or historical writers in specific, because a lot of what is said is also manufactured these
Look,
days.
I think the greatest history of India book that's actually been written is Khushwant Singh's History of India. Please read it if you can. There's a biting sense of humor to it, so I would recommend that if you're reading a history of India.
I know there are lots more questions everyone wants to ask, and I also want to ask many more. But the brutal gentleman is making faces at me in
We've
the
got
back.
1 minute for one more
backstage.
question. Is that this thing? We're done? All right, we're done. Cool.
He's not allowing it.
All right, cool.
But anyway, listen, Veer, I really meant every word of what I said in the introduction, and I think the response of the audience here is a testament to the fact that you're funny as hell, we all know that, but you're also making one hell of a difference to our lives, because everyone watching you knows that it is possible to be brave and speak truth to power and still survive and still be funny and not boring. And I want to thank you for that. A few years back, I used to work with a TV channel called Headlines Today, which is now India Today, and I interviewed Veer, and Veer called my channel Headwines Today on air. And I was perfectly cool with that, but his co-stars on the film, which
Anna,
was...
listen, more ridiculous things have been said on mainstream media than that. Let's be honest.
But his co-stars on the film were very sweet, very proper. Shahid Kapoor, Anushka, and Mayank were really worried that I'd be offended. But I just thought it was so much fun that he didn't care, and he was convinced that I would most probably not care, and all of us were having such a lot of fun. And this is really your contribution. You're getting us to have fun and yet talking to us about really brutal realities and history and the present. And thank you so much, and we're proud of you, and congratulations.
Hey, before applause and all is fine. All right, listen, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. It's my first Lit Fest. I'm the dumbest person at this thing. So thank you for coming out for it. Please, if you can, much like you've come to see me, go and see 2 authors today that you have not heard of. And pop into sessions that you have not heard of as well. I'd really appreciate that. Love you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Cheers.
Brutal man is here.
Brutal gentleman's name is Jimmy Xavier. He's going to do book signings at the book clubs, at the bookstore. It's that way, so if you want to go get a book sign, that's where you need to go. We'll move on to our next session. Can we set up 2 more chairs, please? We have 4 guests in this and 4 mics. When I used to work in radio, there were 3 C's that were the pillars of our content: cricket, cinema, and the city. They're almost immediate connect with the masses when you talk about these 3 C's. There was a 4th C, but I never really got around to understand how to use it: crime. It's still a dream, though, to do crime sometime. I mean, do something with crime sometime. In the meanwhile, I'll live my dream vicariously with our next guest. Harini Nagendra has set her latest book, The Bangalore Detectives Club in 1920s Bangalore. Rudranil Sen Gupta, in his latest book, The Beast Within, gets into the gritty scenes of Delhi. And Tanuj Solanki sets Manji's mayhem in Mumbai. So we have crimes from Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore, and investigating this trio is Ponnu Elizabeth Matthew. Ladies and gentlemen, Sleuth in the City.